15th edition of Under. I think we're
That
probably
feels close.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. It's Under the Covers. So today it is a balmy February day. It's really nice. February 9th. No, 6th. It doesn't matter. It won't.
7th.
7th. It's not going to get released in February anyway. And we have Shelby Smith with Jiminy Crickets. She has a cricket business in Ames. So tell us more about Jiminy Crickets.
Yeah, so I did not want to grow corn and soybeans with my dad. So I started raising crickets back in 2018. I learned how to raise crickets off of YouTube because there's not a whole lot of people teaching people how to farm crickets. And started selling them at the local farmers market in Ames. Ended up selling out of every single cricket I raised in 2018, partly because people liked what I was growing, partly because I really sucked at raising crickets, but I choose to focus on the positive. Ended up moving on 2019, expanding, building a larger cricket barn, getting out of the break room of my dad's shop where I originally started growing the crickets. And then I was making the crickets, the products to sell at farmers markets in my mom's kitchen. Wound up buying a building on Main Street of the tiny town of Collins, Iowa, with less than 500 people. Put in a licensed food processing facility, and then I was off to the races, selling online, grocery stores, all the things like that. And so that was, we're 5 years into it now. And then my husband and I have now purchased 2 other commercial properties on that same one block Main Street. Just finished up our latest project. We renovated a 140-year-old building. Stuck a bunch of money in that. If you need to blow a lot of money, buy an old building.
I can about imagine.
Yeah, it was a lot, but we built an apartment upstairs, and then our offices for his landscaping business and my cricket business are downstairs, and then he's got a pretty sweet shop set up out the back. But yeah, so now my business is mainly wholesale and white labeling. I am the only vertically integrated cricket farm for human consumption in the U.S., like specifically dedicated to it. So
what does it, from a live cricket to the table, what happens between there?
Yeah, so my cricket operation is what I would like to call farrow to finish. So we are hatching the baby crickets. Baby crickets hatch out of eggs, and they hatch like little miniature crickets. So
Is it called farrowing?
No.
What is it called? Can you call it farrowing? I mean, can we just make up the label for it?
It's cricket farming. I think I can do it.
I think
it's cricketing.
Cricketing?
Yeah.
Isn't that like a sport?
Yeah.
Does your logo have like a cricket playing cricket? Because
It
that would be
doesn't.
kind of ironic.
Gosh, that would be
It's
great.
actually a cricket lifting weights. So,
Oh, okay.
crickets are high in protein,
Sure.
so you know that whole thing. But so the crickets hatch out of their eggs, and it's about 45 days from hatch to fully grown, and then we harvest them. We put them in the freezer. Early winter, they just go to sleep and never wake up. And then at that point, they are boiled, rinsed, and dehydrated. And then after that, it's either seasoned and roasted, and as our whole roasted crickets, or we grind it into a powder and we sell that powder as is, or mix it into a cricket bar.
So flies, when you put them in the freezer, will reanimate sometimes, right?
Yes, depends. So,
How do you know that?
I was a kid once.
Random knowledge. So some, depending on the insects, here in Iowa, we have winter happens every year. There's bug season and there's non-bug season. Some of those bugs are still alive at the end of, when things warm back up. They can overwinter. Not unlike some of your cover crops.
I just learned something I would never thought about. How else would they get there?
Yeah. Not unlike yours.
It's like they're like the cereal rye of the insects.
Yeah, they go dormant and then they come back to life. So whatever fly you had probably has the ability to overwinter.
Wouldn't that be nice if cows did that and we wouldn't have to take care of them?
Oh yeah, put them in cold storage.
Been like, all right, well, they're gonna freeze up and then they're gonna thaw back out. Mine freeze up sometime, but thawing back out and coming back alive hasn't come yet.
So how many crickets in a serving? Like if I'm gonna have...
So one serving is typically about half an ounce, and there's 90 to 100 crickets in that half ounce serving. There's about 7 grams protein. Although you may not think of crickets as animals, technically they are. So they have all 9 essential amino acids in a bioavailable form, like any other animal protein. And if you are allergic to Cretaceous shellfish, so shrimp, lobster, that kind of thing, do not eat crickets.
Oh, really?
Yep. If you like shrimp and
Because
lobster.
they're just cousins.
Yeah, they're. I mean, if you think about a lobster or a shrimp with its head on, that's a swimming bug.
Yeah.
So.
What do crickets eat?
Yeah, they are very.
Rye?
Maybe they're very, very picky eaters.
Really?
Yes. So the feed that I use is a blend. It comes out of Huxley, 7 miles south of the home farm, from a company called Bioforge Labs. It's a non-GMO grain blend. It can't be conventional because it has too high pesticide residue. So non-GMO or organic if you want to be real spendy. But then the other key component is there is a animal protein in it. So fish meal in the cricket feed. If you don't do that, most people don't realize that insects are not all like herbivorous. A lot of people think of like a praying mantis catching even like a hummingbird or something and eating it. So crickets are what I would call opportunistic omnivores, and that given the opportunity to eat meat, they will, even if that meat is like their brother or sister in their same.
Sure. So just like pigs.
Yeah, very much. Very similar. Not quite as smart, but
What's your favorite cover crop?
what's my favorite cover crop? Oh god. Well, so I always tell the story of my dad and I having the conversation about doing some sort of a niche rather than corn and soybeans.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say they never thought that I was going to do, that I would come up with crickets. They always probably thought I would do something like grass-fed beef or sugar beets. I said, I think I'd get into something like sugar beets, so probably sugar beets.
So next time you're in the middle of the night and that cricket's keeping you up, just find them and have a nice midnight snack.
No, don't be doing that. No wild caught.
Free range?
No wild caught, no free range. You don't know where they've been, you don't know what they've eaten, and do not eat them alive. That's a really good way to get a parasite. Just don't do that.
Oh, well, thank you for that.
Wait.
But also, your the one keeping you up at night,
Yep.
100% of the time is a male cricket. It's only the males that chirp
That makes sense.
when they're trying to attract females.
Damn dudes.
I know.
And you can never find them.
I know.
So we just did your podcast, which is called
Building in a Small Town.
Okay, and we were talking about building small businesses and whatnot. What has been your favorite experience about this whole process?
Gosh, my favorite experience. So previously, I was like in high finance. Essentially, I was an equity derivatives trader for a Canadian bank in Ireland, and I was dealing with a whole bunch of money. It was it's the job that there's 10,000 applications for the one job sort of a situation, and I just kind of fell into it, and I hated it. But for me, it sounds really cliche and really millennial of me, but I knew at the time, like, I wasn't building anything and I wasn't really helping anybody. I was just taking these ungodly sums of money and, like, moving them around in this fictitious thing. And growing up on a farm, you take for granted when you're on the farm, seeing the product of your work, if that makes sense, of, like, the plant to the harvest and the actual producing something. So I really missed that. So I think that what I've discovered in this whole opportunity, and I tell this to people all the time, I'm not married to crickets. Like, it's just the opportunity that was there and it just kind of ran with it. But I just like really like building things. Like, I just like the building of different things. So as I kind of try to figure out next moves with crickets and beyond, I'm just excited to build. I think it sucks sometimes, but it's good.
That's great.
Well, thank you for coming under the covers with us. We appreciate it.
No problem. It's been nice.
Yep.
Good experience.
It's been a really